Alright guys, it's nice to have all of you back in class. So today I'll be showing you how to make the perfect burger bun. We'll be using it to make one of those juicy burgers you've actually tasted. So for our recipe, I'll be taking you through a very few and simple recipe, something you can actually do anywhere you go. So first off, we'll be using 200 mils of whole milk. We'll be using unsalted butter, about 50 grams of unsalted butter. We'll be using flour, 500 grams, all-purpose flour please. We'll be using 1 egg, but for added richness, you can decide to use 2 whole eggs. It all depends on how you want to do it. We'll be using sesame seeds just to sprinkle on the top of our bread to garnish it. We'll be using Cheddar sugar, about 1.5 tablespoons of that, and then dry action yeast, 7 grams. Let's measure our flour. So as you can see, my scale is at 0. I'll first take away the weight of this plate before I start measuring. So I put the plate, you notice it read about 615 grams. So I'm going to take away this weight first by pressing the button, the on and off button, sorry, and then I'll start to measure. So we said 500 grams of all-purpose flour. So we start counting. 500 grams, that's what we're looking for. So it's about 407 grams now, so gradually add this 445 grams. And there you have it. It's about 500 grams of all-purpose flour. So we'll set this aside. And it's time to measure our milk. So we have our jug here. We said we'll be using 200 mils, right? So here is my milk. I'll just start measuring it. 200 mils. So first off, we'll light our gas. So light my gas. We're going to heat up the milk a little bit so that our yeast can actually work well. So into my non-stick pan is my milk. I'll put in the 200 mils of milk. And then remember I said earlier that we will be using 50 grams of unsalted butter, right? So this is my butter, unsalted butter. I'm actually using ambassador butter. So I will throw it into my milk. Allow it to heat up a little bit. It should not be too hot. So you can use my spatula to assist it. Just to make sure that the butter melts well. If it gets too hot, you set it aside, let it to come down a little bit to room temperature before you can start using it to mix the flour. So as you can see, it's melting. But if you notice, the milk is not boiling. This is actually what we're looking for. Once the butter is done melting, then we take it off the heat and then we start making our dough. Look at the milk. It's already warm. The butter has already melted. We'll allow this to rest a little bit because now it's kind of hot. So once it's rested a little bit, then we'll use it to mix our flour. Alright, so here with me is our mixing bowl. So in goes our flour, our 500 grams of flour. So I'll gradually put it into the bowl. There you go. It's time for us to measure our yeast. Here with me is my scale. My scale is already on. So I'll put in this plate on top. You see it's really 90 grams, so I will take away the weight. I will measure my yeast. I said we're using 7 grams, right? So let's start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, here you have it. 7 grams of dry action yeast. So back to the flour, the yeast. Now showing our yeast, pour in the butter and milk together. Yeah, let's pour all of that in. Now it's time for us to measure our sugar. We said we'll be using 1.5 tablespoons of sugar, right? So sugar, increase the sugar. So you have 1.5 tablespoons of sugar. Now it's time for us to mix our dough. So I'll be using my dough hook. As you can see, this is my dough hook we make. So with my small mixer here, I'll mount all that's in my bowl. Fix the dough hook. Take it down, and then we'll gradually start to mix in. See, it's gradually incorporating. Look at it. You can also do this using your hand. So we'll allow it to mix gradually while we incorporate our eggs. As you can see here inside my ramekin is the one egg I talked about earlier. So I'll gradually add that one egg. As you can see, our dough has mixed well. So it's time to knead it a little bit before we allow it to rise. As you can see, the dough has set to rise. So what we'll do now is to flour our surface here, and then we'll work the dough a little bit. So first off, we'll have our flour. So we'll just sprinkle our flour. You're quite generous with the flour that you're going to sprinkle, and then you take out the dough from your mixing bowl, and then drop it on the flour surface. And then you just gradually bring the dough together. You've mixed it already, so you actually don't need to work this dough too much. Get some vegetable oil or olive oil in your hands, rub them, and then just pamper the dough. As you can see, our dough is looking smooth, and that's how you knead the dough once you use your machine to mix it. So guys, with me here is our scraper. I'll use it to divide this my dough. So I'll divide the dough, divide it into two. So you can see they do not stick to each other. I'll set this aside, get this one here, divide it, we'll divide it into three. So again, to work our dough, we'll just flour our surface a little bit. You roll it until you actually feel that the dough is getting hard in your palm around this area. So you just continue to roll it. As I said earlier, pamper the dough. Do not be too aggressive on the dough. And as you can see, our dough has started to get to be hard. So it's not as soft as before. Set this aside. So you see how we're rolling it. Okay guys, so here is my baking tray. I would lay my baking tray with my baking paper, then I'll place my already rolled dough onto my baking sheet. This is my baking paper. I'll lay it off. Lay it neatly please, because the way you lay your baking paper will actually affect how your dough is going to look like under. Gently lift our dough. So we space them. There's a reason why we have to space them, so that they can each have space in the oven. As you can see, there's it. So I've spaced my burgers, and then it's time for me to egg wash. So get one egg, get a bowl, and then gradually crack the egg. We're going to use the egg today instead of the milk to egg wash our dough. So gently whisk the egg. Do it gently please, do not beat the egg too much. And this is how it's supposed to come out. Get a brush and I will egg wash my dough. So get the dough closer and gently. As you can see, our dough is already rising, but we're going to put this in the oven. We'll allow it to rise for 30 minutes or 45 minutes, then we can start baking. So be very careful with the way you egg wash and the way you use your brush on your dough. gently wash all your dough. Add to the richness of your burger bun. If you're using milk, if you use too much milk, the top of your burger bun will start to burn. That's why I advise you use egg. This is my sesame. I'll just sprinkle it on top of the burger bun. It's time for us to set these lovely burger buns in our oven. Our oven is not yet on, but we're going to set them in there so that they can rise. After which, we're going to be baking at 180 or 200 degree. Our burger has actually rised, so we're going to bake this using 180 degrees C, as you can see here. Time for us to make our spread for our burger. So first off, I'll be using mayonnaise. So I'll scoop just 2 spoons of this, very little amount. For this spread, I'm going to be using some herbs. So with me here is Cheddar sugar. So I'll add, this is about 1 tablespoon of Cheddar sugar. Here with me is lemon juice, dried fenugreek, showing the dried fenugreek, cinnamon, and fresh parsley. Then I would add 1/4 cup of ketchup just to give it color. So 1/4 cup of ketchup. And that's it. So all we need to do is to mix this together. So with a whisk, we'll give it a good stir just to incorporate everything, to bring them together. After which, we're going to allow this to sit in our fridge. This sauce I just made can last up to 5 days. You can do it 2 days ahead. So I'll mix this well. See, the herbs there is to give it fragrance, to give it this nice taste, not just the mayonnaise and the ketchup. So we're going to sit this in the fridge and allow it to chill, then we'll use it later for our spread. Here we have the lettuce, and then we have the stronger tomato. We'll be using this organic tomato for our burger. So but first off, I have my vinegar, so I will throw my vinegar in to the water that I will be using to wash my lettuce. So you could use any lettuce of your choice. Just gently put the lettuce, lay the lettuce up in there. Do not scrub them like you're washing clothes. So, and then you just let them to sit for about 5 seconds inside this water. Then we're going to wash them again and dry them using a paper towel or any clean tablecloth before we start to use them. Our lettuce is clean now, so we'll get the paper towel and then we'll just carefully lay the paper towel on your vegetable board or your salad board in the kitchen. Once you've laid this off, you carefully pick the lettuce and lay them on the paper towel. The reason why you're doing this is so that the paper towel can take off the excess water that is on your lettuce. It's not going to spoil the shape of your lettuce, it's going to keep the shape of the lettuce. So when you serve it to your guests, it actually looks nice. Get some more paper towel, like this in my hand, and then carefully massage the lettuce. see, this is how it's supposed to come out, looking strong, not looking weak. I will just lay my lettuce on this plate in my hand. I'll keep it in the fridge to chill. I've already washed my onion, as you can see. I will just cut, slice my onion. There is no specific way you can actually slice the onion because everything is still going to melt in the pan, so there's no point in trying to add any starch to this. Just chop the onions, not too big, not too small. So we have the onions. Okay, so for our caramelized onions, light up our gas, put in our non-stick pan, unsalted butter, and we'll allow this to melt. So once this melts, the next thing that is going to go in is our onions, and then we'll sprinkle in some sugar. Our butter has melted, like it's very hot now, so we'll throw it. Now at this point, our sugar is going to come in. So we'll just throw in little sugar, about 1 tablespoon of sugar. And then with me here is my red wine vinegar. So I'm going to use this just to douse the power of the sugar. So it's not too sweet, it's not too sour. It's in between. I'm not going to allow my onion to get too brown before I'll throw in. Leave the onions to wet. Stir this a little bit. As you can see, our onion is getting brown. So the longer we leave this in here, the more it's going to get brown. The vinegar is not going to allow, one, the sugar to burn on time. Two, is going to add this richness, that brown color we're looking for. So our onion. So as I said earlier, your onions for your burger must not be in rings. Alright, so this is perfect and fine. Time for us to check our burger bun. Let's see how they're faring. See this one? See how big it is. So it's time for us to couple the burger. Right, so you can see them, they're all ready. With me here I have my minced meat. So I'm going to season my minced meat lightly with salt. Be very careful with the amount of salt you're using. Black pepper, so I will just add just a little, and then I have about 1.5 tablespoons of breadcrumbs. Why I'm adding the breadcrumbs is so that my pate will look a little bit thick. It's not going to look too light. You can decide to add egg if you have egg, but today I'm not going to use egg. I will just use the breadcrumbs just to bring my minced meat together. Assist it a little bit with some vegetable oil. And then just use your hand. Feel free to walk like this. So as you can see, it's ready. So we'll throw it on our board, and then here we're going to mold it into the shape, any desired shape that we want for our pate. On my board here I already have my pate, so I would use this pallet knife in my hand just to shape it a little bit. You can use your hand to do this, but I'm using this pallet knife just so that I'm looking for that perfect round shape. So as you can see, I like the size of my pate. We already have a giant pate. So the next thing we're going to do is to heat up our non-stick pan or a cast iron skillet whatsoever, and then allow it to heat up some little vegetable oil, and then we're going to sear these on both sides until it's ready. The reason why I made this pate giant is because I don't want the pate to be dry. Your pate is to come out juicy, cooked but juicy. That's what we're looking for. So our non-stick pan is on heat. We'll add vegetable oil. Not too much because we're not frying it. I'll allow it to heat up a little bit. And the next thing we're going to do is to lay off the giant pate. Now for it to cook to the middle, we're going to allow it to cook on low heat, not too high. So I will reduce the heat I'm using and I'll allow this to cook. It's time for us to flip up the pate, so carefully with one hand hold it at this end and then gently lay off the other side of the pate. As you can see, the pate is supposed to come flat. The first side that you lay off on the heat, it's supposed to come out this flat. So it's going to be somehow roasted here. Inside is cooked, the other side looks a bit roasted, thereby allowing the middle to look juicy. So in the next 3 to 4 minutes, this pate should be ready. It's time for us to slice our organic tomato. Now for added beauty, I would say you serve your burger with the tomato this fresh, but if your clients don't want them like this, just simply on a hot pan, just toss them on each side. So this is our burger bun. So we slice our burger bun in two. So I'm not going to slice down to below, just a little bit on top. I'll slice my burger bun. It's supposed to look like. Not too soft and not hard at all. Our lettuce is actually looking big, so we'll just use our scissors, the one for food, and we'll take off the excess part of the lettuce. I'm not saying those sides are not good, they are good, but to give our burger beauty, we'll just take them off. So it's time to couple the burger. So our burger bun, I'll open it, and this is the spread. So a little spread first. Use your spoon to take off the excess on the edges. Don't start with too much spread first, just a little. Get your pallet knife or whatsoever. Generously spread it to all edges. It should not look too messy. Then you gently lay off the lettuce. Be generous with the lettuce. Just like this. And then pick our tomatoes. And we'll carefully lay the tomatoes on top of our burger. 3 is okay. We'll be using cheddar cheese. So next, we'll pick our pate, the burger pate that we prepared earlier. Look how giant it's looking. Very big. A little bit of the onion jam. Lay off the cheese, or cheese, and then a little bit of our spread, and there you have it, the giant burger bun. You see those juices coming out. That's how it's supposed to be. So because you don't want this to actually scatter when you're eating it, so you just need this pin in my hand, and then take it. Here you have it. The Big Mac burger is ready, and okay, should I See you guys later in next class.